Hi, John Rice, Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, coming to you with an update here for fall 2022. And what we've seen lately is a change in the market from what we would have seen last year. But the key thing is there's a lot of opportunity out there. You just have to kind of look at it in a little bit different way than what we did last year. So last year was all about low interest rates. It fueled a lot of interest in making a purchase. And then the question became, hey, where am I going? If I'm going to be selling my home, where am I going? So we had a lot of people kind of in that struggle of I'd like to move, but I can't find the right house because there's low inventory. Well, fast forward to this year, we've seen rates go up and then come down just a smidge most recently. And because of that, there's some things just to consider. One, we're still low on inventory, but we have more inventory than last year. Yet we're still in a position where there's more buyers than sellers. So what that means is when you list a home, we have more competition around that home than we would have seen in the last couple of years. However, there's still a lot of interested buyers. So we have both of those segments now going on. We have a lot of interested buyers, and we have sellers, but then the sellers have competition. Basically, when it boils down to it means as a seller, we're going to work with you to make sure that your house is in top-notch selling condition. Now, that doesn't mean it needs to be perfect. But it does mean that if you're going to have competition, you're not the only one on the market. And so it does need to have appeal over the neighbor, one way or another. As a buyer, here's a key thing about a buyer in today's market. As I mentioned, the interest rates have come up and then just recently come down a little bit. And an important factor is last year, if you put an offer in fact, last couple of years, if you put an offer in, you might have had 10, 15, 20 other offers on the table at the same time. And that creates a very hectic environment. It's a stressful environment. And we're successfully able to get a lot of our clients through it, but it's not without its pain, and it's something that's not controllable. But at the same time, when offers were made, you might have to think about well, what are we going to do about inspections? What are we going to do about appraisal? Are we going to do an appraisal gap where you're throwing money on if an appraisal comes in short? Okay, now fast forward to this year. If you're to make an offer now, in many times, you are one offer competing against only yourself or one of just a couple offers. So it's no longer the 10, the 15, the 20 other buyers. You're one of just a couple. And so are we seeing the list price come down a lot when you make an offer? That part, not so much. A little bit sometimes, but not always, because there are still more buyers than houses for sale. But a couple of things are for sure happening. One, we're seeing houses stay on the market just a little bit longer. It's still historically considering a very quick market. So last year, it might have been 3 to 5 days on the market, maybe even a couple hours. Now it's more like 5 days, 10 days, 15 days. We're approaching, especially here in the fall, a 20 to 30 day average, which is incredibly still fast. It just seems like longer because of the type of market that we've been through. So that's something to consider as a buyer. The other thing is that you're not always needing to think about completely eliminating your due diligence period. So in other words, if you wanted to have inspections, maybe now your offer can be accepted with an inspection clause. It's a very important piece of purchasing a home. Another factor may be now you might not need to do an appraisal gap guarantee anymore, where you're saying, hey, here's $60,000 cash over and above the price I'm going to pay. Maybe now, a lot of times we're seeing offers come in and it's just, we're going to take kind of the standard language. We're going to go through the inspection process. We're going to go through the appraisal process. If we have an issue with inspections, we're going to talk about it. If we have an issue with appraisal, we're going to talk about it. So while there's no real normal, it does have that more seemingly streamlined path of normal for a buyer in today's market. Now, that's not to say you don't need to be prepared. So if you're selling, you need to be prepared because there's going to be more competition, and you're going to want to know where you're going to go. Because again, we want to make sure that we're always keeping a roof over your head and that we're finding the right place for you. So that's still always a factor that we're going through when we're working with buyers and sellers. As a buyer, you want to absolutely get that pre-approval letter in hand, because when we go turn that offer in, a seller is going to expect it. So you need to have that pre-approval letter in hand. It shows you, hey, here's my cash, here's my pre-approval, whatever it is, however it is you're going to purchase, we're going to use that as part of the offer. So a seller, if they are considering yours versus other offers, they can be confident in how you're going to purchase this property. And if you are going to use a bank, that a bank has looked at your financials and that they will back you. The other factor to consider is, even if there's no other buyer out there competing with you directly, that confidence is still incredibly important for a seller. They may be taking your offer and then going out shopping for a house for themselves. They're going to say, hey, I've got something now. I feel confident in going out and looking for the next place. And that's important to you too, because you don't want to just buy a house and have the seller live there. You want to have them move out. So these are things that we're guiding our buyers and sellers through. It is a different market than last year, and yet there's still opportunity. When you consider investing, I'm seeing more first-time investors get into this market, somewhat due to the ups and downs of the stock market over the last few years, but also just because I've had first-time home buyers say, what if I bought a 2-unit, a 3-unit, a 4-unit, something like that, where I could live in a unit and then have, friends or, other people just advertise it out there for rent and have them help me pay my mortgage payment. Smart thinking. It's a good way to go for, those that are prepared for what that comes along with. And I've helped a lot of people, guide them through that. So bottom line, know that we've been through it before. It's been 20 years now. Experience is definitely helping in a market like this. And I also love being able to help, again, so many of my clients that I helped both at the beginning of my career, in the middle of my career, now in some cases 3 generations, where you've got parents and then sons and then daughters and sons of sons. So it's amazing to be able to help not only that many generations, but also to have that kind of experience to be able to guide these people through, every one of you through, from beginning to end, and get you back to home safely, smoothly, and enjoyably. I look forward to learning more about what your real estate needs are. John Rice, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. We'll talk to you soon.